Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome to CodeBlaque. Thank you guys for tuning in. As you guys can see, this will be a movie review for the movie Queen and Slim. I went to see it yesterday, and yeah, there was a lot of things that I saw in the movie that I thought were very interesting. So I decided to do a movie review. Personally, I think, a lot of times when these types of movies are done, it is in many people's eyes, particularly non-black people eyes, this is, how they see black society. And so these type of movies and the way that we as black people are portrayed in these types of movies, um, it's not something, I think it's something that should definitely be taken seriously. So I'm not going to hold you guys long. I'm going to go ahead and get into the movie review. So the writer and director of the movie are the two ladies you see on screen. The writer is in orange, and her name is Lena Waite, I believe. That's how you pronounce her last name. She was the writer of the movie. And then the director is a lady named Melina Masukas is her last name. I think that's how you pronounce it. She's in green. And so the two main characters in the movie Queen and Slim, you have Jodie Turner Smith, which is the female lead in the movie, and then you have Daniel, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name, but he is the male lead in the movie. Now, the movie started out very quickly. They just kind of got straight to the point. Um, it started out with them going on a date. Now, before I start, I also want to if you have not seen this movie, I would suggest probably seeing the movie and then coming back to this review because there will be a lot of spoilers here in this review. So if you have not seen the movie, make sure you tune out and then come back so that, I don't spoil it for you. But the movie started out pretty fast, pretty quick. They went on a date, and now on the date, I found it very interesting because she was portrayed, the female lead was portrayed as the difficult, got an attitude for no reason black woman. On the date, she just had a stank attitude for no reason. And, she was the one. So apparently they met on Tinder and she hit him up, right? And I just feel like it just rubbed me the wrong way because, as you guys know, in these types of movies, black women are always portrayed a certain type of way, and so are black men. And, it was very stereotypical to have the black woman, she's dark skinned at that, and she just had an attitude just right off the bat for just no reason. So I thought that was very interesting. So let's go ahead and keep going. All right, so they are riding home on their way from their date, and they get pulled over by the cop. All right, the cop is a white cop. I'm sure you guys have seen the trailer. So the cop is a white cop. And of course, for no reason, this cop is giving attitude. He wants to check the car without a search warrant. Now, the lead actress, she happens to be a lawyer in the movie, right? But you don't see her being a lawyer. We just know that because she mentioned that in this scene, right? When he gets pulled over, she gets out of the car. She mentions, "Hey, do you have a search warrant?" Now, I was taken back by this because again, this is another black woman who can't keep her mouth closed. She doesn't know how to allow the man to handle the situation. She makes it worse because she gets out of the car and she's screaming and yelling, and there's a point where she tells the cop she's gonna go for her phone. And of course, the cop is a jittery cop, right? Because that's always the thing, right? Jittery white cop who, is so nervous. And so she goes for her phone. She tells him, "I'm going to go for my phone." And she goes in her pocket to pull out her phone. And then he shoots her. And he actually grazes her leg. Now, in turn, the guy and the officer, her date, the male lead and the officer, they start tussling on the ground. Now, again, before this led up, she was, just kept talking, kept making little sly remarks, making the situation worse. And again, this is another scene, because how many times have we seen those videos go viral of these black female women, talking crazy and slick, not knowing when to be quiet, not knowing when to let things go. And see, this is one thing. As a black woman, I get it, right? I get, the frustration. I get her frustration. I get, her not really wanting to deal with, the cop who is pulling them over for no reason. Like, I get her frustration. But non-black America don't, because they don't live, you don't know how it is to live as a black person in America unless you are black. You can hear stories, you can read articles, you can read Facebook posts and all these other posts. You can look on YouTube and find videos, but unless you walk in our shoes, you don't know. You just don't know what it feels like. So as a black woman, I get her frustration, but yet non-black America who is watching this movie don't. So they're gonna see it as, oh well, again, making things worse. This was uncalled for. This could have been, they're gonna see it like that. They're not gonna see it with an understanding as to her frustration. And that's the problem that I have with this scene, because again, playing into that stereotype of the black woman with an attitude who can't be quiet and who makes sly remarks, you know? And so I thought that was very interesting. Um, and then of course, they get into this tussle, right after he shoots and grazes the lead actress in her leg. They get into this tussle. He ends up killing the white officer. And of course, saying that it was self-defense. That was their claim. Okay. So another thing that I noticed in the movie were they had several scenes where the black lead actor was portrayed as goofy, weak, not that smart. Nobody took him seriously. There was one scene in the movie where he goes, when they're on the run, and he goes to first of all, they're on the run, and he keeps forgetting to put gas in the car. That's number one. That's just insanely stupid, right? So again, portraying this weak, just don't have common sense type of person, right? Anybody who knows, if you're gonna go on a run and you're gonna be driving, you need to be making sure you're checking the gas hand to make sure you're not gonna run out of gas. Like, that's just common sense. And the female, she's portrayed to be the smarter one, the one who's more about it, bouty, who's stronger, mentally stronger, right? Who has to tell him, get rid of the cell phones. We can't call your dad, because if you do, the phone could be like, she has to like game him up as if he just doesn't know these things, right? And this is the thing, like, most of us we've never been on the run, from cops. We've never killed a cop, or or anything like that. But yet we've watched plenty of movies, plenty of 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 scenarios or what have you, where we know not to put our fingerprints. I mean, it was just stuff that just the regular person would know. And he had to be gamed up. And then also, there was a scene where they were running, and the car messed up, and they had to go and take it to get it fixed. And he sneaks into the bathroom to call his dad, and he's talking to his dad, and while on the phone, he's going to tell his dad where they're going, and the dad intentionally hangs up the phone. Again, another point in the scene in this movie where they're showing this dude to be just stupid. Like, dude, come on, if you're on the run, you're not going to be calling anybody. like if you're truly on the run, I just don't see that to be something that someone is going to do. But again, they have to portray this man to be the stupid, not so smart. Nobody takes him serious. Again, there was a scene where he went to a gas station because yet again, he forgot to put gas in the car. They ran out of gas, and they get picked up. No, they run out of gas, and or they're about to run out of gas, and they just stop to get gas. And he goes in, and he didn't have any money, and he's going to stick the guy up so that he can get gas. Now, in sticking the guy up, the store clerk doesn't take him serious. Like, this is a black man on the run, wanted, in a different state, and he comes into contact with this white male store clerk, and he doesn't take him serious. He pulls his gun on him, and the white male store clerk does not take him serious. Now, we're talking about a man who's on the run, wanted in a different state. He pulls a gun on the store clerk, and the store clerk looks him dead in the eye and says, "You're not going to shoot me. You don't look like a killer." Like, seriously. So again, this is a point in the movie where he's not taken seriously as a black man. He's just not. And to me, this tells, non-black America, oh well, don't take black men seriously. That you shouldn't be scared of them. They're not to be scared, don't be scared of them. They are just scared, running around like chickens with their heads cut off, don't really know what they're doing, not that smart. And so also in the same scene, he's like, "Well, I'll give you gas if you let me hold the gun." And this dude, the lead actor, actually lets him hold the gun, lets him hold the loaded gun. Now, in what world are you going to find where someone goes into a store to stick up the store who's on the run for killing a cop in a different state, and he's going to actually give his gun over to the store clerk to let the store clerk hold the gun? Come on, guys. Come on. In what universe would that happen? It would never happen. But again, they have to portray this black man to be weak, to be, not taken seriously. Oh, he's not really that scary. He has a gun, but he don't know how to use it. He's really not that scary, right? That's how he has to be. This is how they have to portray him. So, I just thought that part was so bizarre and very interesting. And mind you, while the store clerk had the gun, he took the gun and pointed it directly at the lead actor, the black man. And he held it there for a few seconds as if he was going to shoot him. But he didn't. Yet there's a newspaper laying on, around the counter where both his picture and the lead actress picture, they're on the newspaper for being the most wanted for killing a cop. But yet this white male who had the chance to stop them didn't, because all he wanted to do was hold the gun. And he was actually given the gun by the lead actor. Come on, guys. Like, really. So that to me was bizarre. I didn't understand that. I thought that was crazy. So let me keep going. All right. So while they're on the run, they're on their way to her uncle's house, which was the first stop, right? And the uncle is, low budget, dusty pimp, right? And I found this to be quite interesting because in a lot of the black movies, when you see these pimps in black movies, so-called black movies, right? You see these pimps, and the pimps are always dusty, broke, low budget, icky, and they're always around these icky women, broke, dusty, low budget. And like the movie Hustle and a lot of those other movies, right? And then it's funny because in these non-black movies, when you see the pimps, right? So when you see like mob movies and you see the guys who are trafficking women and pimping women, these are like high class, they have more of a organized or or an organization running these women. They have on nice clothes and they're dressed nicely, right? And this is not about portraying a pimp in a good light. This is not about that. But what I'm saying is, I'm just, you know, giving a side by side correlation to how, when we're talking about a black person in her family, her uncle's a broke, dusty pimp. She's a lawyer. She made it out, but her uncle's a low life, dusty pimp. Like, come on. And then, when you look at other pimps in other movies, like that movie Taken, right? That movie Taken, these guys had, this $1 million business running women, that was so high profile and high tech, but you never see, where that's played like that in black movies. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, and then, the uncle was just disrespectful, just And then the backstory behind the uncle and her relationship was that the uncle killed her mother. Now, I guess that kind of spoke to why she, was a loner and wanted to be alone a lot. And I don't know, but I just don't see why adding that part in the movie made sense. Like, I don't see that because, they didn't really add much of a background on the lead male's part, right? They just showed him and his dad were close, and that was pretty much it, right? And so I thought that was very interesting as well. But yeah, this dysfunctional family that, black people, black American people in particular, always come from, another stereotype, and to be quite honest, I mean, yeah, you do have a part of black society that do come from, you know situations such as that. But to be quite honest, I feel like that is more played up in movies and on TV than, to me, what the general census are, right? So you may not see a bunch of millionaires, but everyday black people are working. They're teachers. They're working state and local jobs where they're working and going home every day. They're trying to feed their families, you know. Um, but yet they choose to put mostly this type of representation on TV in movies to represent black people, particularly black folks in America, black Americans, right? Um Now I also want to point out another scene where the there was a father and son in the movie. So one of the scenes, they had to stop to get food, and they ran across this little fat boy, and the little boy went in to get them food, and he comes back out, and he's like, oh, is this you guys? And so the little boy is like, oh man, that's pretty cool, you gotta have to talk to my dad. And so while they're trying to get away from the little boy, because they want nothing to do, with being on the scene, right, they accidentally run over the dad. Now, how they didn't see the dad, as big as the dad is, I mean, huge, huge man, big old man. And he just didn't see him and just accidentally hit him. Like, that made no sense to me at all, right? And so he hit the dad, and then the dad is portrayed, and as the type of black father who's cussing his son out, calling his son the N word, and son of a bees, and bees, and he's just using all types of crazy language, calling the son's mother a bee. And while I'm in the theater, the non-black people, they're just laughing it up. Oh, they thought that was hilarious. And I'm thinking to myself, like, really? Now, I'm going to tell you, black men are always portrayed as, not good fathers. They're not around. They leave their women. They don't spend time with their children. They're angry. They're always portrayed in that light, right? And so this movie just basically played into that portrayal. A black man with his son who, he's present, but when he's present, he's just so toxic and just so dysfunctional that he's passing that mess down to his son. That's the portrayal in this movie. And, I've been black all my life. I've been around black people all my life. I do not and have never seen a black father talk to his child that way. Absolutely not. Now, have I seen cursing? Yeah. You may say damn or shit, and excuse my language, but I'm just, trying to present a point. You may see that, but, just going off like he did, come on. I mean, it may be a small, small percentage in black society where that may go on, but no, no, no. So I thought that was interesting. Um, and so, they're on the run. They're going down to, they left their uncle's house. The car messes up. They ended up having to get the car fixed. And so there's a scene in there where they had to go to the shop to get the car fixed. And while they're at the shop, they meet the shop owner, who is a black man. They meet his teenage son, who, he's really into them. He's like, oh, he's like basically he admires them, right? And he just came off as like a young kid who admired them for um standing up to basically the cops. It ended in him shooting the cop and killing the cop, but a lot of black society took it as, okay, you stood up to them. But I think in this movie, you got to understand, as a black person, we know and understand that, you know the black people who were celebrating them being able to get away and be on the run, they were celebrating the fact that, for them, that was them standing up to a cop who apparently had shot a black guy while he was taking his son to school. That cop that they stood up to, that the lead actor killed, the backstory behind that was that the cop had a record apparently of, mistreating black people in that area, and he had one time killed a dad who was taking his child to school. So that was the backstory behind the cop. So, around the country, you had all these black people in support of, this quote unquote Bonnie and Clyde couple, right? Now, as black people, we understand that, right? But when you're a non-black person, you don't. You're looking at it as like, oh, well, they are celebrating a cop killer or cop killers. They're glad that this guy got away for killing a cop. And that's how non-black America see this movie, see that scene, right? They see, black people are celebrating killing cops. Now, in the psyche of people, that is dangerous, because if we are out here seen as people who support killing cops, then guess what? It's going to be more killings of us. And I don't want to get too, like, I don't want to get too, into that whole thing, because I want to stay on track of the movie review. But you got to think of the psyche behind other groups of people who watch this movie. Like how they see, these different scenes, in the black people who are celebrating this couple for being able to get away and be on the run. We know as black people that, they're celebrating in the movie. They were celebrating the fact that he stood up to this cop. He stood up and stood his ground. What would be called stand your ground, right? He stood his ground with this cop. And accidentally shot him because he was scared for his life. That's how we may see it, right? But non-black America, they don't see that like that. They see straight up cop killers. So that's something, that should be taken seriously, because that's what's being portrayed. Cop killers. Black people who get happy and celebrate cop killers. And by the way, for the record, there are way more white male cop killers. When you look up the statistics on cop killers, there are way more white male cop killers than there are any other race of a group of men. But they had to put this idea out there that, maybe black men are gonna start killing cops, right? They're gonna get so fed up that they're gonna be killing cops. It's gonna go from the cops killing the black men to the black men killing them, which is another dangerous thing to put out there, right? So they meet this teen. This teen is, he's happy that they was able to stand up. Now I took it as, when they met this teen, he was telling them how he wanted to be remembered, and he wanted to, be remembered for something really great. And the language that this kid was using was like a school shooter language, right? And the school shooters are typically white young males, right? Typically white young males who are shooting up these schools, but they had this black kid speaking this school shooter language. Okay, black kids, come on. Grew up around black kids. I hang around black kids. I know my nieces and nephew. I got a 14-year-old niece. Okay, a 12-year-old nephew. Okay, I have nieces and nephews I watch grow up. Black children do not use that language. Wanting to be, wanting to be remembered for, taking out a cop. Like, no. But that's the type of thing that you see among school shooters. They want to be immortal. They want to be remembered for doing something, for going down in history and doing something such as shooting up these schools. They always, after the fact, when they go look through these kids' things, they always find things about, poems and letters about how they wanted to be remembered for, you know, killing black people or, shooting up a school or whatever. And I felt like this kid was speaking that school shooter language, the same language we hear where these kids are talking about these school shooters. They talk about, being remembered, being, going down in history for doing, killing people. So I found that to be very interesting. And so this kid ended up going to a protest and he ended up, killing a black cop. Now, I did not see that coming. I thought maybe the black cop would, maybe beat the kid up and the kid would end up in the hospital. I thought maybe it would be like that. I was taken by surprise when the kid just shot the black cop for like no reason. That's just, to me, that was so far fetched and so bizarre and so out of field. Like, that came from way out of field. Like, it was so out of field. Me and my boyfriend, we were like, what? We looked at each other like, what? Huh? You know what I'm saying? So that was interesting. And the black cop was trying to, he was very nice, very respectful to the young kid. Not raw. He didn't come at the young kid in a rah type of manner. He was just really trying to like talk some sense to the kid. Telling the kid, go home. It's dangerous. And I took it as if the black cop was trying to protect the kid because maybe the black cop knew something. Maybe he knew that it was going to be a bunch. They were going to send in 200 more cops, and that these cops were sent in to maybe start doing some beating and taking people to jail. And he was trying to warn him because the black cop got sincere and he lifted up his clear face thing and was like, hey kid, to me that was an offer of sincerity. Like, okay, I'm sincere, like I truly want to help you, kid. And then the kid just takes out a gun and shoots the cop, just like that. So again, that portrayal is very dangerous because you already have cops out here killing young boys and women, young girls, and men, adult men and adult women. And so to put into the minds, again, as black people watching this movie, we can I didn't get that part. I didn't get that part. But we can kind of sometimes put things into the right perspective as it relates to the black society and black people. Whereas non-black people, they can't. They see it for what it is. And to see, a black kid out here shooting a cop, to them that may ring, oh, well, these black little kids that the cops are shooting, they are dangerous. They will do harm to you for no reason. That's the message that to me was sending. So moving on. At the end, all right, we're coming to the end. At the end, you had the typical hood dude with the goals, all the tattoos, the braids. He's smoking weed and using ebonics and and all of that, right? He has the beard, the facial hair, and he lives in a trailer, and he's supposed to be the one that's going to help them get on a flight to what was it, Costa Rica somewhere. And so Now I found it very odd. Oh, before this happened, so they ended up going to a white couple's home, right? The uncle, the lead actress uncle, knew this white man from their military days, and apparently he saved the man's life, and the man owed him whatever. So he goes to their they go to their house, um and the next day the cops, no, that night while they're having dinner, the cops are about to swarm the house, and they see it. So he tells them to go, because he has a secret hiding place in the house, and so they go get in the hiding place. And so basically the white couple saves their life, right? And I found that quite interesting, because out of all the black people in the movie, the most the ones who spoke properly, and the ones who lived in a nice neighborhood, and the ones who could really, really help them, right? The ones who were not as dysfunctional was the white couple. So society, that rings white savior, right? It took the white people who were more level-headed, more stable, to really and truly help them, right? Because the white couple helped them on their last leg of their trip, trying to get, out of the country. And so now I found it quite interesting that the white couple knew this guy you guys see on the screen, the one that was supposed to take them to the plane so that they could actually leave. They knew each other. And the movie didn't really explain how they knew each other. They just knew each other. So to me, that did not glue that well, because at least with the uncle knowing the white couple, the uncle knew the white couple because the uncle was in the military at some point, and that's how he knew the white man, the white couple, right? But it didn't explain how the white couple knew this guy. I didn't get that he was in the military at one point. So how did he just know him? Like, how did that come together like that? And I felt like this was a place where they had to portray the black man smoking weed, living just a careless life, not really caring, don't have a job. He look a certain type of way, the braids with the beard and the gold teeth and the tattoos, just so stereotypical. Like, in what world are these two going to know each other? Like, explain that. And they didn't. So I felt like they just had to put this character in the movie just to be putting another stereotypical character in the movie. It didn't make any sense at all. None whatsoever. And so he is taking them to get on the plane to ultimately get out of the country. And he is the one who ended up turning them in for the money that was on their head. I think it was like $250,000 or something like that. So he ended up being the biggest rat, or in the whole plot. And I felt like, um to me, it would have made more sense for the white couple, the wife in that couple. And to be quite honest, we didn't even really see the backstory. It could have been the white couple that turned him in all along, because in the movie, that those stacks of money, that didn't look like 200 grand to me. So they could have split the money, or the wife could have ultimately turned them in and say, "Hey, let's split the money," and she split it with him. That to me is what is probably what happened. But they made him to be the biggest rat out of everybody. This couple was on a 6-day run from the cops. They stopped at a juke joint, and they were in there, and everybody knew who they was, all the black people, but they were like, "You're safe in here." Then they stopped, to get the food, and the black kid knew who they was, and the dad, but they didn't want to turn them in. But yet, the most stereotypical character in the movie, black man, braids, gold teeth, beard, tattoos everywhere, stay in the hood, he was the one that turned them in on their way to quote unquote, freedom, right? Now, that's all I have, guys. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you guys don't mind, go ahead and like this video, subscribe and share, and leave a comment. What do you guys think? Was it something that I missed? What perspectives do you guys may you guys have on the movie if you've seen it? And again, don't forget to subscribe, like.